Mozart arranged himself before the pianoforte and waited while the guests settled and seated themselves. He wore a red frock coat trimmed with gold thread. A froth of lace cascaded from his throat. He had brought no music. He would play a sonata from memory and then improvise for a time on any theme given to him. The room seemed to grow smaller around him, the light in all corners to flicker and dim. He played almost without appearing to move, sitting at the piano with a quality of straightness born more from attention and relaxation than from any excitement or anxiety. Anna had seen many virtuosi play. Wolfgang Mozart surpassed them all. He exhaled, and so many breathing notes unfurled from his unhesitating hands. He played as she had always wished to sing, how she imagined she might sing, if she were not so excitable and striving, but selfless and assured, bound to music alone. His expression hardly altered. He looked as if he were listening to a soothing prophecy about the felicity of his children. His eyes, relaxed and open, took in the room and yet looked at nothing. The smile on his lips was scarcely there, a smile for himself alone, because he felt no need to parade his emotions for their benefit. He would not distract them from his music, nor undermine the balance of its perfection with aping or sighs. He looked as noble and quiet as a physician tending a miraculously reviving child, and no one seemed to take more pleasure in his art, for all his equanimity of expression, than he himself. When the sonata was over, he turned to them all with a lively good humor and asked for a tune on which to improvise. Count Thun, winking at Anna, proposed the theme from her most famous barber aria. "Too obvious," cried Mozart. "Everyone will think I've planned it out beforehand." But no superior alternative being found, he at last consented to the barber theme. There could be no question that he was making up the variations on the spot, finding novel and ever wilder ways of exploring and distorting the theme, every turn unexpected and yet wholly right-seeming, without pause or misstep. His resources of creation were as if bottomless. The theme was always there and always changing. Just when it seemed he'd ventured too far, beyond recovery, there was the original melody again, Anna's melody, waiting for him patiently at the end of the next corner, nearly the same as he'd left it, nearly exactly the same, and yet deepened, made somehow more complex and reassuring by the twists and convolutions, the permutations of key and rhythm and mode to which he subjected it. Anna was wholly rapt. When he'd finished, she felt almost hollow with the transformation. Here was an intelligence, a perception, quite beyond her scope. It humbled and inspired, and made her want to sing the aria again, right now, so that she might show him what he'd taught her, or else never sing it again, because she could never be as good as he had just suggested. "Isn't he marvelous?" asked the Countess Thun. She offered Anna a few savory pastries. "I told him he would have to go last, or my fingers would be paralyzed when I went to play with you." She gazed around the room with benevolent approval. "He outdid himself tonight. Did you ever hear such an extensive improvisation in your life? At every change, I felt my eyes gape wider, and my heart rise still further with, I don't know what, nervous excitement, joy, gratitude, sincere, astonished gratitude." "I'm quite speechless," Anna confided to the good lady. She smiled, feeling restored and happy. Everything was whole again, as it should be. Mozart's playing had soothed her hot brain like sweet water. Where once there had been panic and confusion, there was now clarity, a peculiar, tingling calm. All would be well. She was almost sure it would be well. I'd never heard him before. What, my dear? Not in all these weeks? I'm surprised. I suppose you are prohibitively engaged. Well, you're lucky you saw him tonight, because he's leaving Vienna the day after next. Leaving? Anna looked around quickly and saw him by the whist table, conversing patiently with the dowager. Tragically so, said the Countess, following Anna's gaze. And the more loss for the rest of us. He and his wife will visit his family in Salzburg. For how long? Oh, some weeks, I think. The Countess's smile deepened. I see you're disappointed. I felt quite the same when he told me. I am one of Herr Mozart's greatest admirers, and because of that I get foolish notions that I can claim him for my own. But he is a free man and may do as he likes. You're lucky to have heard him tonight at his best. A little later, Mozart came nearer, and Anna could speak to him at last. She congratulated him and saw how happy and proud he was, how well he spoke of his wife. She tried to explain how moved she had been by his playing, and how he had changed her perception of an aria she knew so well. She felt suddenly shy, yet also as though he understood her. Last night she'd seen Hamlet with John Fisher's breath upon her. Now that was forgotten. She was herself again, at peace. Do you, she said hesitantly, did you hear it all at once? I mean, when you heard me sing, were all the other variants already in your mind? He laughed and shook his head. I make it up as I go. That's the fun. Can I do this thing? Is it too far? Oh, now it's too far, and I'll have to scramble and find my way back. And now, is anyone bored? Anyone nodding off? Yes? Better speed up, better get louder, range round the highs and lows, modulate, go backward and upside down and stick the ass on its head, and then isn't this a sad little thing now? Let's do that again. And then add it to this one, like so. And softly, softly, softly. And here we are back to the theme again, in minor, and the tune is like a thread through all of it, guiding me through it like a maze, you know. If I lose it, I'm finished. It must be at the heart, my heart. Everything spins around it, you see. But there's no plan. If there was a plan, it'd be a travesty. I'd have to call it something else. His face was rosy